care more. That's why we created Child Protector, a critical illness insurance plan from Sagicor Life. It provides coverage for your child in the event of 15 critical illnesses, hospitalization benefits, life insurance, and investment benefits. So make sure your child can live life to the fullest. Apply for Sagicor Child Protector today.
Are you ready for another exciting show inside Live 1 to 5 this Throwback Thursday, May 18? Well, join me, your host, Star and the Chirpy Ron, for another time to recollect and to reconnect. Stay tuned for the brain testing mental-size at 1:45. Then Prayer Blast will be at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside Pieces of the Past. We share with you some more historic facts. Then at 3 p.m., Met with Talk with Sonic Salvation Band. All this and more will come alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. There's Throwback Thursday, May 18 on the family station, Love 101. Celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, the salaries of cabinet ministers and parliamentarians have all gone up more than 200%. And is it morally indefensible at this time? And is it based on, quote-unquote, misplaced priorities, as the opposition PNP has suggested? Well, to discuss this and other related issues, we have joining us Mr. Michael Diamond, attorney at law, president of Consumer Intervention Jamaica, and Mr. Dennis Chung, financial analyst and commentator. Good morning to you both.
Hi, morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you both. Now, gentlemen, let's try and hit the ground running. We have limited time and a number of issues, I think, to address. Now, in light of Tuesday's bombshell announcement by the finance minister, briefly, what are your opening thoughts? Beginning with you, Mr. Diamond.
Okay, it is quite a knee-jerk reaction from hearing that announcement coming on the heels of already wage negotiations between all the different sectors. But nevertheless, I would imagine that the main concern for everyone has to do with the fact that they are not fully aware of the methodology that was used to arrive at a 200+% increase, or the fact that there are still some outstanding issues that the public has been calling for a long time, which would speak to the accountability and even just being able to assess the work being done by the parliamentarians. So it is very justified in their reaction, not necessarily that it is something that we can reverse it, but nevertheless, how do we move forward?
Okay. And by the way, Mr. Diamond, I was hearing you so clearly. I don't know. Something seems to be happening with your line. All right, Mr. Chung?
Yeah, I don't have no problem with the increase as it is. And, I hear everyone about the comparisons with the other persons in the public sector. I, for one, have been calling for parliamentarians specifically and government ministers to get a significant increase in what they were being paid. And I've been calling for that for a few years, from when Ronnie Thwaites had actually proposed it in Parliament when he was there.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I say that is because you have to compensate people based on the responsibility and the expectation you have from them. So if you compensate someone poorly, then you're not going to expect that the productivity that they're going to put out, or you can hold them accountable, is going to be there. Now, is it morally indefensible? That might be the case, right? Because the truth is that I don't think that we've looked at public sector compensation the way we should. For example, we've been pressing along with this thing called collective bargaining. So it means that someone who produces 100 units a day gets the same increase like someone who produces 20 units a day. So there's a bias in and unfairness in how we compensate people, which holds back our productivity. But what we need to agree with Mr. Diamond, what the argument needs to be is, okay, we're going to give you this increase, but you tell us why we're giving it to you. How are you going to improve your accountability to us? Because the truth is that someone who you pay 100 million a year can actually be less expensive than someone you pay 5 million a year. So that $100 million a year person can produce maybe 150 million a year. The person who pays 5 million a year could produce 2 million a year, and therefore they're costing you 3 million as opposed to the other person earning you 50 million. So the argument needs to be, okay, we're here with increase, and we agree with it, because the responsibility of a member of parliament, remember, is a whole parish or a whole constituency, with thousands of people, a lot of things that need to be done. A ministry is very big, bigger than most companies, right? And they need to be compensated. But the argument needs to be, what are you going to do for us now? How are you going to ensure that our roads are safe? How are you going to ensure that we have good roads to drive on, that we have a peaceful neighborhood to live in, and that crime is not an issue? Those are the questions we need to be asking them now.
I think from what both of you have said, it's pointing now to the whole matter of job description and how do we assess, evaluate their performance as our leaders, our servants, really. Mr. Diamond, there are those who are arguing that we have put the cart before the horse in this case. That before they were given the increases, there should have been the job descriptions and performance-based appraisals in place. Your take on that, and then Mr. Chung.
There probably some legitimacy where that is concerned. Now, remember, the reality of it is that the government is not a money-making enterprise. It's not. So the fact is that these bills are being flipped by the taxpayers. And once we are going to use taxpayers' money, there has to be a significant level of accountability. So if we were to match this, I'm sorry?
Please go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, because I'm not sure if you were hearing me properly. But if we were to match it in the real world, where you do have an executive running a Fortune 500 corporation, there are milestones and there are measurements that would be used to justify these levels of compensation. Now, right. I have absolutely no issue with the fact that individuals should be compensated accordingly. But when we look at the public service, we have to be very fair in how we are utilizing taxpayers' money, because for one, if the government is already being accused of significant waste, then what do we do about that? Simply drop and the accountability.
I'm sorry, Mr. Diamond, but the public service has job descriptions and performance-based appraisals. Our politicians don't.
Our politicians don't, and actually, a lot of the politicians were also very instrumental in making sure that these things were required. So remember, the gripe that the public has a lot to do with the fact that there is no accountability where this is concerned, and that is the issue that needs to be addressed. So there is no recall option for individuals who are not performing well. There is no who exactly will be protesting against receiving a 200 or 300% increase at this particular time, right? So the taxpayers unsatisfied with what is happening. They're unsatisfied with the performance over the past several years. So then, morally, there are issues here that needs to be addressed.
All right, stick a pin right there. Want to hear Mr. Chung's view on it. We are up on a break. We'll be right back.
Play your part in helping us become rock solid and ready. For more information on the National Natural Disaster Risk Financing Policy, visit mof.gov.jm. The time by the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service is
just about 7:16 a.m.
Are you ready for another exciting show inside Alive 1 to 5 this Thursday, May 18? Well, join me, your host, Star and the Chirpy Ron, for another time to recollect and reconnect. Stay tuned for the brain testing mental at 1:45. Then Prayer Blast will be at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside Pieces of the Past, we share with you some more historic facts. Then at 3 p.m., Make We Talk with Sonic Salvation Band. All this and more will come alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This Throwback Thursday, May 18 on the family station, Love 101. Celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Tell me where you get the money transfer. Where you get the money transfer. Where you get the money transfer. Money move like a bird, like a plane, it's a blur. Money quick, money fast, money reach in a flash. This your agent no run out of cash.
Get your Mother's Day Mummy Transfer at Alliance, May 5 to May 27, and you could be one of 14 moms to win 50,000 Jamaican dollars. One winner from each parish.
Tell me where you get the money transfer.
Alliance, a member of Satco Group Jamaica. Conditions apply.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&M Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&M Bank will help you find a way.
I feel follow Grace Sardine, better flavor. Grace Sardine with the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop on supermarkets, everybody sell it. You all of them nice. Pass the park, let push it.
Grace Sardines follow the better flavor. Ready up, Jamaica? Get excited for a one-of-a-kind experience on Sunday, June 4. The Orchards of True Juice Dog Walk. Come alive with another station of the True Juice 5K. Come run, walk, and have some fun as we raise funds for the Linstead Hospital. Entry fee $2,000. Register now at TrueJuice.com. There's no other 5K like it. Follow at True Juice on Instagram for more details. Sponsored by Water, Powerade, Jamaica Observer, Rainforest, Whistling Frog, Elevate Media Group, Nature Valley, Output Group, Kellogg's, Yoplait, New Impact Media, Select Brands, Honey Bun, and Digicel Group.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And in this, the first watch, we're looking on the salary increases in particular, for parliamentarians and the cabinet ministers. And in so doing, we have online Mr. Dennis Chung, financial analyst, and Mr. Michael Diamond, attorney at law and president of Consumer Intervention Jamaica. Mr. Chung, before the break, I was asking the question in regards to, the saying, putting the cart before the horse. Is this not such an instant in regards to the job descriptions, performance-based appraisals not in place, yet still giving this huge increase? Mr. Chung?
No, I don't think that we should look at it that way. When you go for a job, for example, they don't say to you first, boy, work first and then I give you the money, based on what you perform.
Give you a job description though.
Yeah, and that is it. What the failing is that we should have a properly structured system in place. But it would be very difficult to say to someone, listen, I am going to, because we haven't had this in the place in the past, that we're going to have to wait on that. I think it would be an easier thing to say, okay, fine, we don't have it in place, but guess what? I'm going to give you this money, but, I want certain things in place by X time.
The Prime Minister said in his opening statement when he came in that within the first 100 years that will be in place.
Yeah, and therefore...
What are you saying now?
Yeah, what needs to happen is that, we need to hold persons accountable, because the truth is that it is not that we don't have the ability to hold politicians accountable. It is because we as a people refuse to do that.
How do you hold somebody accountable without a job description?
Well, let me tell you.
Or a performance appraisal?
Yeah, because we know what the outcomes are. We know what the outcomes are that we want, but we don't press for it. And that's the issue. Whether someone has a job description or not, I want good roads. I want crime to go down, right? I want peace in my neighborhood. That's what I want, but we don't press for it. So having a job description doesn't affect the outcome that you want as a persons who put them in there, right? But guess what? 5 years time come, an election come, and the same people who said, boy, we're not getting this, you buy 2 plates of curry goat and a box of beer, and guess what? They vote for them again, right? We have the Integrity Commission. We have the Auditor General's Department, right? How many of us actually sit down and go through that and say, listen, when the reports come out, we are going to hold you accountable. And we will come on and we talk about it for 9 days, right? And then we forget about it. And then the other thing, Dylan, is that I've been serving on a government board every year since 1997.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been on a government board. When I call people and I say, hey, come sit on this committee, right? Or come sit on this board. No, I don't have the time. That's going to take up too much time for me, right? So we all become armchair critics, right? And that is what happens. We have the power, we have the ability. You see when we rise up and we say, listen, we want this. And the parliamentarians cave in, but we don't do that enough, right? In fact, we're so political as a nation that someone will do something wrong. Half of us oppose it, half of us as a nation say, no, the other person did it 5 years ago. That's a challenge that we face. We have the ability to hold them accountable, but we don't.
And I'm not sure we can hold them accountable without a legal document, something that we can look at and assess and evaluate in a very pointed manner. Anyway, it is argued that the government should be commended for taking such a bold step, but a necessary step. And the argument is it will benefit the country in attracting the best, quote-unquote, talent. Your views on that, Mr. Chung, and then Mr. Diamond?
I think it will go a far way in attracting those persons and persons of the sort of integrity you want. But I give you a football analogy. Coach Al Grimson, who's the new head coach, said, if Messi comes to Jamaica, in 2 weeks he'll be an ordinary player. Because the pitches that we have, the fields, does not facilitate proper football. Similarly, if good people go into a bad culture, you're going to have bad people very soon in many respects.
Right.
So you have to at the same time fix the culture that's there.
Right. And I'm just wondering, Mr. Diamond, what does that say about the present pool of leaders that we have? I mean, if the argument is that we'll attract the best talent, who do we now have therefore?
Dennis raised a very important point there regarding the political culture in Jamaica. And these are the things that needs to now be written in our new constitution for situations just like this.
Uh-huh.
Why should we sit 5 years and wait to recall someone if we are dissatisfied with their performance?
Yes.
So this is the important thing. So when individuals become more active in their political representation, then these types of behavior would be reduced significantly. The argument of attracting a certain level of talent for politics, it's really nonsensical, because many of the individuals who are now receiving 200+% increases, they do not even have the educational qualifications to be receiving that level of compensation in compared to the private sector. So we have to be very mindful of how our hard-earned tax dollars are spent and just simply, given to individuals who could just write themselves raises whenever they feel like, because we have empowered them to do so. So we now have to look at what's the culture really like? How do we now craft a new constitution to address these type of anomalies so that we don't have to have these type of discussions?
Yeah.
Politics in itself should never be a career.
Yeah.
Politics in itself should never be a career, because that is what is actually stifling the growth of the country, where individuals who are underperforming have now sought to make politics a career to the point that they'll do whatever it takes to hold office, but they're not doing what it takes to hold the votes. And it's very important that we look at what are we getting for our money.
Yeah.
So there's no compensation that would be satisfying enough to an individual who's overqualified. But the reality is, can he get the work done? Is he or she getting the work done?
Want to reemphasize what you mentioned a while ago about the constitutional reform. I think these things should be discussed in those committee meetings. But time is up on us, gentlemen. I must ask you this, though. It seems that the PNP had an overnight Damascus Road experience, in that on Tuesday, its finance spokesperson said the opposition takes no issue with what was announced, and yesterday issued a press release stating that the increases are morally indefensible. Mr. Chung, your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, they might have a point, but if they feel that way, then they just shouldn't take it. That's how I see it. If you feel that it's morally
should take all of it.
Yeah. Just don't take all of it, or don't take it. If you feel that way, that's the best protest.
Yeah, Mr. Diamond.
If I had the ability to advise the PNP, I would tell him it would be ill-advised to speak of it in such a way of not taking it. It was done legally, clearly. So now that you're getting it, do what it takes to earn it. So the reality of it is that, let's not disrupt the process simply because they wouldn't be doing it genuinely. All right. It's only because individuals are crying out. So guess what? You have it. Now do the work to represent that you deserve it. It's as simple as that.
All right, the way forward then, gentlemen. What do we do to ensure that we do not find ourselves in this situation again going forward? Because I have a mantra that when things happen, the worst thing is not what has happened, but if we don't learn from it. What should we learn from this, and what should we be doing in the future to ensure that we're not in this debacle again? Mr. Diamond and then Mr. Chung, 1 minute each.
We definitely need to rewrite our constitution to address these type of issues, and we need to have that matrix that is being used to make these type of decisions properly informed and educated to the public, so we know what is going on. Keep in mind, this type of anomaly is the same that goes with the pricing at Petrojam, where it's a mysterious thing that is going on and the public have no idea why these prices are being set. So we need to get that level of transparency that, because what is happening right now, it creates this level of distrust. And that is when there's no confidence in your government representatives, then the people are going to follow by not supporting and not being a part of the basically the solution that can move us forward.
Mr. Chung, 1 minute. Mr. Chung? Not hearing Mr. Chung. Okay. All right. We're winding our discussion, and I think we have consensus on the fact that things could have been better, should be better, and we need to use the constitutional reform process to ensure that things are properly put in place. I want to thank both gentlemen for joining us this morning. Mr. Michael Diamond, attorney at law, president of Consumer Intervention Jamaica, Mr. Dennis Chung, financial analyst, for joining us. Thank you both, gentlemen. Have a productive day.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Great. Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Small Business Loans. Tell us your business and let's turn your ambitions into reality. The time by JN Bank Small Business Loans is
7:30.
With your Visa debit card in hand, you can do it all. Pay for all your expenses and win amazing amazing rewards like a US $7,000 home makeover, a trip for two to any Copa Airlines destination, plus US $1,000 or a staycation for two at Sandals Resorts, plus bi-weekly prizes of air fryers, gas, or supermarket vouchers. Every use of your Visa debit card gets you closer to winning. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act.
Love 101 invites you to listen to Encounter, presented by the Jamaica Association of Full Gospel Churches, Thursdays at 10 p.m. Every first Thursday, listen for words of upliftment from the Lighthouse Assembly with Bishop Rowan Edwards. Every second Thursday at 10 p.m., listen for a word of encouragement from Mojis Ministries International. That's Women of God in Service with Reverend Dr. Elaine Richards. Every third Thursday, receive words of strength and power from Praise Deliverance Ministry with Senior Pastor Fitzroy Carr. Every fourth Thursday, Reverend Leonie Samuels of the Richmond New Testament Church of God in St. Mary shares words of hope. For fifth Thursdays, it's words of inspiration from the New United Bible Way Church of God with Reverend Dr. Jasmine Brown. That's Encounter, presented by the Jamaica Association of Full Gospel Churches, every Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&Bank will help you find a way.
Have you follow Grace Sardine? Better flavor. Grace Sardine with the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper. That are the winner. Shop on supermarkets. Everybody sell it. You all of them nice. Pass the park, me push it.
Grace Sardines follow the better flavor.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing in the Gleaner. Homeless to Howard University. Jamaican student ranked in top 10% of graduating class. Great. Also, job descriptions desperately needed. Financial analyst argues against material increase for political directorate without guarantees for improved productivity. Also in the Observer, CXC blunder, no surprise. National Secondary Students Council President says alleged maths paper leak a recurring problem. Exam body is probing the claims. Also in the Observer, all eyes on the Prime Minister. With salary adjustments done, cabinet reshuffle likely by this weekend. And in Loop News, battered teen Kaylan Dowdy takes first steps since 2020 brawl. So happy to hear that. And NBA playoffs, Heat rally to beat Celtics 123 to 116 in East Finals opener. Well, those are some of the major stories, headlines in our newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. How much do you think parliamentarians and cabinet ministers should get in terms of their pay? In essence, we are asking you to comment on that scenario. Leave your comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for for another exciting show inside Live 1 to 5 this throwback Thursday, May 18. Well, join me, your host, Star and the Chirpy Ron, for another time to recollect and reconnect. Stay tuned for the brain testing Menticize at 1:45. Then Prayer Blast will be at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside Pieces of the Past. We share with you some more historic facts. Then at 3 p.m., Make We Talk with Sonic Salvation Band. All this and more will come alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. There's Throwback Thursday, May 18 on the family station, Love 101. Celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
This is a special announcement from Love 101 and Love Television. Our general offices will be closed to the public on Labor Day, Tuesday, May 23, and will reopen on Wednesday, May 24, 2023 at 8:30 a.m. Programs and commercials for Tuesday, May 23 should be submitted by 9 a.m. on Monday, May 22, and obituaries and notices by 10 a.m. on the same day to ensure scheduling for broadcast. Love 101 and Love TV wish for you and yours a peaceful Labor Day.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today, 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. It's the telephone counseling and prayer ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. A reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Jokal for a look at how our Facebook and YouTube, as well as WhatsApp friends, answered today's question. How much do you think parliamentarians, cabinet ministers should get in regards to their pay? Jokal?
All right, so we do have some responses here. The responses that we have, here. Good morning, Dr. Gabidon. Good morning. We can hear you on air. Good morning. Good morning.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. No problem. No problem. All right. So the responses that we have here, I have Phyllis from St. Thomas sent a voice note. Let's hear what she has to say.
Good morning. I don't mind the race, it's good. Because people want to go there to work because they're going to get a good salary. But why not give the police, the nurse, and the teacher good salary just like what you are getting for yourself? That's the only question I'll ask, and nothing else. Nothing wrong about your salary going up. Because if you don't have good salary there, nobody's going to go there that is good to work. But please, look in the police and the nurse and the teacher's life and see how they live.
All right, that was one from Phyllis. Sister P said that she sent a long one, but just to condense it, she's basically saying that the government is chosen by the people to serve the people. So persons will need to be held accountable for better performance if they're going to be getting this much of a raise. All right. Carol Williams says, good morning. I think they should get the same percentage they give to the other civil servants. Edna from Mobay sent another voice message. Let's listen to that one.
Good morning, watch. Guest, listeners to Love 101 and staff. I will not say what government should get because I don't really fully understand. But one thing I know that if my blind can see that they are getting a chunk while others are just getting a bump. And I think they should consider the people of this country, taxpayers who Pay them. You understand? And the teachers, oh my God, the poor teachers. Everybody has to go through teachers. Come on. They can do better. Government can do better. What happened? What am I going to do with the money? Huh? But you see, the word of God must come to pass. And listen, soon and very soon, everything will be over. Where the money going to go? Done. Burn. Burn.
Thank you so much.
Consider the poor, government.
Thank you so much, Edna. And finally, this one is from Merlene in Clarendon. She says, not a dollar more. Basic school teachers are getting 30 G's monthly, and if they can survive, why the parliamentarians need more? There's so much more responses, but we don't have enough time to take them. But yes, that's what we have here.
We don't want to have a chunk when they should be getting a bump.
There we go.
Okay. All right. We want to thank those who sent in their responses. We apologize to the others. We were unable to play it or read it. But you understand, we need to go into a second watch. Okay. So I want you to imagine, everybody, imagine with me, please, a world where the question is asked, what is a woman? What is a woman? And that leaves some people unable to answer. Now, can you answer that question? How and when did we get to the point where we don't know how to define what a woman is? Well, imagine no more. This is the world we're living in. How are women reacting to this situation? Why and how have we got to this point? What's the fate of womanhood as more and more men seek to become women and seemingly many women not minding? Well, to answer these and other related questions, we have online Mrs. Casey Garvey, founder of Caribbean Christian Response. She's a social commentator and a writer. And Dr. Christine Hammond Gabidon, pediatric consultant. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Great. Good to have you with us, ladies. Thanks for joining us this morning. All right, let's begin at the very basics. What is your understanding of who a woman is? I never thought I'd be asking this question in my life. But anyway, what is your understanding of who a woman is? Beginning with you, Dr. Hammond Gabidon.
Yes, hi, good morning again. So before recent times, it was pretty straightforward. Oxford Dictionary says an adult female human being is a woman, and that has not changed. So, and what is a female then? A female is denoting the sex that can bear offspring or produce eggs, distinguished biologically by the production of ova, which is eggs, that can be fertilized by male gametes or sperm. So it's pretty straightforward. It's a definition determined at conception by the combination of X and Y sex chromosomes. So it's just a little biology. The egg contains X chromosomes, the DNA, and the males have Y. So they come in pairs. So a girl baby would be XX, and a boy baby would be XY, and it's determined by the sperm, because you can have X sperm, which means when it combines with one of the X's from the female, you get a girl, and the Y sperm, which combines with one of the X's from the female, you get a boy. So it's biological.
Okay. Mrs. Garvey, what's your understanding of what a woman is?
I have nothing to add. That definition covered everything that I could have said.
Yes. And, well, your thoughts, therefore, beginning with you, Mrs. Garvey, on the whole matter of the transgender campaign, especially men seeking to transition to women. Your thoughts first?
Well, I think that it is a bunch of very broken people who should be seen for that. They are obviously very troubled. They need support, so the psychological, spiritual, and otherwise. Because if they genuinely see themselves as another gender to the point that they would, we have to distinguish between transgender and transsexual, I believe. Because I think one involves just simply adopting an identity while another might involve undergoing like surgery to reconstruct body parts and so on. In any case, these are just deeply broken people, and they need prayer, they need support. They obviously need to be reminded of the fact that it is impossible to change your gender, especially after hearing that lucid explanation by my fellow guest on this morning's show.
Okay, so sorry, Mrs. Gabriel, up on a break, hold that thought, to be right back.
Praise sardine for the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop on supermarkets, everybody
Praise
sell it.
sardines, follow the better flavor.
The time is just about 7:46.
I am just a little girl, but I have big dreams. And one day, all my dreams are going to come true. That's why I'm glad Mommy opened a Surgical Bank Star Savers account for me. It's the best gift she could ever give me, because one day I won't be little anymore. And my small savings are going to grow big. I even got my own debit card. Give your child a gift that will grow. Open a Surgical Bank Star Savers account today.
Fire in My Soul Promotions in association with Kingdom Liberty Evangelistic Ministries and Partners present Kingdom Worship Experience with Kevin Downswell, Rhoda Isabella, Mark Johnson, Harry Sales, and the CAG family. Music by DJ Rebirth, DJ Marshy Reds, and DJ Stick. Saturday, May 27, 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Curfew Place, 4 South Avenue, Swallowfield. Admission is free. Just bring an offering, and proceeds are made of the Swallowfield Primary and Infant School. 876-776-3217.
Educom does it again with the mega car loan sale. 100% financing, interest rate of 6.95% and up to 10 years to repay. Hurry now and visit any of our 9 branches. Call Educom at 876-926-6973 or WhatsApp 876-559-7575 for more info. Educom Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Value through service.
Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. on Love 101, you're invited to listen to Good Morning Minister, a weekly feature where government ministers will speak about the development in their various ministries. Listen for the updates and have your questions and concerns ready to share inside Good Morning Minister as the Minister of Information, Robert Nesta Morgan, and a guest minister or agency head discuss the issues and take your questions and suggestions. Get ready to call in during Good Morning Minister, 11 a.m. on Wednesdays, right here on Love 101, the family station.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in this, the second watch, we have been discussing the whole matter of the future status and role of womanhood. And in so doing, we have online Dr. Christine Hammond Gabidon, pediatric consultant, and Mrs. Casey Garvey, founder of Caribbean Christian Response. Before the break, Mrs. Garvey, you're giving us your thoughts, read this whole transgender campaign, especially men wanting to transition to become women.
All right. So I was saying that they're very broken people, and I really want to stress that because it's very easy for us to slip in as a church into the tribalism, into the condemnation, into seeing them as these mortal enemies that we have to crush and defeat. And while I understand that there is an agenda that we absolutely do need to be extremely concerned about, and that we have to wage war against, the people, however, are still people who are made in God's image and who are still desperately in need of God's love and transformation. So the transformative power of the Holy Spirit in their lives. So I just want to stress that. When it comes to men, I'll let you hand over to her.
Right, so they are troubled and they are broken people. Do you feel the same way about them, Dr. Gabidon?
Yes, so hi. I think the current medical thinking is it's a bit more nuanced because they mentioned gender, and so sex versus gender. So sex refers to the biological attributes. So, the genes, as I mentioned before, the hormone levels, the reproductive anatomy. So the sex is assigned at birth as you look back in the day, you didn't used to do DNA, now you can, or ultrasound, you can see the genitalia looks like a boy or a girl. Now, gender refers to the roles, the behaviors, the expressions, that identities of girls, boys, men, and so on. So now we realize that there are persons who have differences of sexual development. And I mentioned that because of the whole athletic thing. There are some women who, persons, I will say, that have a difference, either from a hormonal imbalance, some genetic abnormality, where they look like a female or they're what we call intersex. So at birth, the genitalia may not look like definitively a boy or a girl. Maybe the clitoris is enlarged and so on. We can't get into the details. And so they come now, they grow, they're assigned to be a girl. So this baby is born, looks like a girl, not quite, but we call her a girl. And she's raised as a girl. That's her gender that she's raised as. But when they do the DNA, she may have a Y chromosome, and that is a difference of sexual development. And so they have said, well, to counteract that, those women, remember, they're raised as women, and the athletic body is not saying you must show your DNA to prove you're a woman. So she's entering athletics, but they must have the testosterone below a certain level. And so, everybody knows about Caster Semenya. So there are people who have those disorders, physical disorders. So that's another thing. We don't have enough time. And then you have people who have gender dysphoria, which is a psychological distress. So you are being raised, physically, genetically, you have the two X chromosomes, you're a female, and you feel you're a male, or vice versa. And it's how they feel. So it causes distress. And those are the people who, if they have that dysphoria, they want to transition to the other sex. And some of them don't necessarily fully transition surgically, but they may dress.
Their behavior.
Yes, or they might do hormone changes. So I'm trying to be a bit more objective because there's a lot we don't understand. And just as Mrs. Garvey said, we have to be tolerant. We have to love them. As a doctor, I have to see everybody. I can't judge. But it's a little more nuanced, I think, than just, you want to be a woman or you want to be a man. What I find interesting, though, is that it's the female athletes, the female transgenders who want to compete against women. But those women who how you say it now, to male, they're not competing against the men because biologically the Y chromosome gives you an advantage with the testosterone and so on.
There's the other way around.
Right.
Yeah. As a pediatrician, what has been your experience in terms of children and the whole the gender identity issues as we are discussing now? What has been your experience, and what is the youngest age in which these what levels of confusion occur?
Well, the literature does say that between 3 and 5 you start to identify as a girl or a boy. That is okay. I'm a girl. I like pink. I like to do girly things, that kind of thing. Between 3 and 5. Now, in terms of the whole, I haven't come across any child who has said, who is a girl, who has said, no, I'm really a boy. But I've seen it on TV. They have this program called I Am Jazz, and apparently it's very real. The thing is that it's how they feel. And my understanding is that people want to be validated in how they feel and how they want to act and behave. Now, what I think is that young children need to be protected. So you can't expose them. You have sexual grooming and so on. Parents need to be aware and start, protecting children from certain things online and so on, because they can be indirectly groomed by observing things. I know we're going now into more this sexual orientation, which is another definition.
Yeah, but Doc,
who I like. And
Doc, are there not cases where boys want are dressing like girls, just go in front of the mirror, just like mommy, and daughters just like daddy in front of the mirror? I mean, what's going on there at the early age?
Right, it could be curiosity at some point. Let me try on mommy's shoes. That doesn't mean, oh my God, they're becoming a transgender. A lot of them. By the time they puberty, they've figured it out. This is what they're saying now. After puberty, you start expressing your sexual orientation, who I'm attracted to, and so on. It's kind of, I wish a psychologist would come on, but, they have to see everybody, and we can't afford
right.
to.
It's a nuanced topic. All right, we don't have much time left, Mrs. Garvey. Is there a biblical response to all of this?
I do appreciate what Dr. Gabardon was saying when it comes to the nuanced approach. What I will say is that for persons who simply identify as another gender, again, we have to make sure that we position ourselves to support them in appreciating the body that they're in, the body that God has built them and designed them to have, and the requisite roles that God wants them to exist in and serve in, according to his love and his wisdom of his design. And I also wholeheartedly agree with what Dr. Gabardon said about protecting our children. Because when you have puberty blockers being introduced to children at a young age who are simply playing with a truck or a toy, that's extremely harmful, and that can have lifelong effects on children. Lifelong effects. So we have to protect our children, ensure that they are not pressured into certain types of gender roles as we think they should be, based off of something as fleeting as a toy preference or a color preference. And we have to really make sure that we are prayerful when it comes to ensuring that what they're exposed to in other places outside of the home, even at school, and the kind of curriculum that are shared at school, that they are not overly exposed or overly sexualized, especially at a young age.
I agree wholeheartedly with Mrs. Garvey, and they'll know we are Christians by our love. I just want to say that although I'm a doctor and I have to be objective and treat everyone with respect, we do need to show love.
Yeah, love is the hallmark of it all. And there are some persons when they begin to see children, young people, adults responding like that, they want to rebuke the devils, the demons out of them. Doc, is that an appropriate response? What should be done? What should not be done in that regard?
That is the Lord's purview, meaning he will judge. I'm not a deliverance minister. No, if the person is distressed about the fact that they're distressed, then they may want such ministry. And I am aware.
Discernment is key. Discernment is key. Right, Mrs. Garvey, your thoughts on that quickly?
I would say yes. Discernment is key. Discernment is not just human logic. It is direction from the Holy Spirit. So I would say ask the Holy Spirit to guide you into all truth and into the best way to support this person in thriving in their God-given design. That is how I make my comments.
Right, fitting note on which to end. I want to thank you, ladies, for joining us this morning. Please have a safe, productive, and holy day. God bless you both.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye.
Great. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Cassie Gale, and our guests. We're asking you to please join Mr. Stokely Marshall next week as he continues to look at the issues of the day. I'm Dylan Toussaint, reminding you to be purposeful, faithful, thankful, and of course, watchful as I hand you back to Love in the Morning with Jakal Dyer.
The Morning Watch is brought to you